Hey everyone, it's Michelle Dawson, Nurse Deb from Halloween Ends. You are turning into Cineifier. You can follow me on Instagram at It's Michelle Dawson. Let's sit down by the fire and chat.
Why, hello, everybody. This is Eric Vornoff, host of the Cineifier podcast, where the horror lives and you survive. I'm here with my next special guest. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Mindy Dougherty. I'm a nurse, a writer, a veteran, and the people's advocate.
Thank you so much for sharing that, and thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be here.
Sure, thank you for asking.
You and I both are going to be in the same movie, The
Right.
Killer Pizza Man. So I guess I'm just curious, is this your first acting experience or what?
No, so I started a while ago where I was really angry, and a friend of mine actually introduced me into something called improv. And when I got to improv classes, what I was taught is to go through all of these emotions, and there was no consequences, which was really nice. And there was something called taxi cab. So in those little like segues, they would just say, you can only say yes and. So it was yes and this, yes and that. No matter if you agreed with it or not, it was just yes and. And so then there was parts where you get really super angry, and then yes and, or you'd go through these like exercises that you could get out all these different emotions in one class. And I was really, really glad that a friend of mine brought me to this. And she also wants me to go on like one of these TED Talks. So I told her, eventually I'd love to do that too. But that kind of was a segue into me doing this. And then I started talking on radio shows, got my book out, and helped a lot of veterans. And then I noticed there was another veteran who reached me on social media. And he's like, hey, I'm doing this independent film. Do you want to come with me? And I'm like, what does that mean? And so I got the experience of doing like extra work, being behind the scenes, doing background. And I was like, well, I don't want to be on background anymore. I want to be able to get in and speak with other people. And so there were different roles that I went, and I met somebody called Michael Mahal and a couple other people before him. And I started doing independent filming, and it kind of opened up many, many doors for me to like get different friends that I never would have had access to had I not do this in this way. And then I wanted to take courses and classes to make myself better. So I reached out to different acting coaches, somebody who had worked for like Warner Brothers, and this other woman that's in Hollywood who's named Amy, and she's pretty well known. And so when I got to learn from them, I was like, oh, wow, this is totally different than what I was doing, So I was like, oh, this is interesting. And then I'd go to like these comedy clubs and comedy shows when I lived in California and Colorado, and that was really fun. So, I love to do a whole bunch of different genres. I never want to be stuck, so they say, in one. So I like doing horror. I like doing comedy. I like doing, off the beat, off the wall, different things that would even bring them together, like a horror comedy or a drama, or, different things that will kind of open up my range instead of getting stuck as like a typecast, they call it, instead of being like one individual that, plays the same role each time and you can expect, one role. I like to play different things, different people. And I like to do the improv as well, because it's off the hook. You don't even know what you're going to get. Some of the audience members tells you a word, and then you go with that word and you get to spin it around, and all these things that you get to do in that improv class that make things so funny that you can just get out of yourself, and laugh. And for me, laughter has genuinely been the best medicine for me. So I like to take my comedy and make it into something that I can laugh at, or that people can laugh at. Not that I'm making jokes out of people, but making jokes of a situation, but going back to having Julie Roberts play me, that would be really fun, because my book is all about the autobiography. It's all about me. So there's nothing, there's segues into like how I learned these lessons, what I went through, and what I learned after it happened, and the different events. So I let it pile up too far before I'd gotten therapy. And the only reason I actually got therapy, was open to therapy, is I actually went through a course that was all about self-development. And boy, did that not only open up Pandora's box, it was like a permanent mirror that never ended. You know, different courses that got to different levels where all these mirrors were like attached to them. And the only person that I could run to and run from was myself. So it was like, no matter what you do, you're going to find yourself. And so doing different acting things has opened up a door to where I can find different emotions that I never was able to express as well. You know, I was raised in a harsh Southern Baptist Christian lifestyle. So like every time the door swung open, we were there. You know, we feed the homeless, we do all these other things. And so I was taught a certain way to be. And so now that I've segued out of all that and just kind of been open to different formats or different areas, I've learned that by creating these different characters, not only am I playing obviously onto the characters, but I can almost make them me at that just for a moment. And then when it's cut, you know, I go back to myself. But I think it's really fun to play all these different characters.
Yeah, and a lot of people like Jim Carrey, Adam Sandler, and all these big time, and all these big time funny people. A lot of them will say that the reason why that they became the way that they are with making people laugh, is because that they themselves know, just how it's like to be sad and just not happy with life in general, and then that's why that they do it. It's because that they totally do understand.
Yeah. Or and some of them have been, you know, as well, they've been abused or they've had tumultuous like lifestyles or they've been kicked out of their homes. So they know
Yeah.
what it feels like to have that kind of trauma and go through the trauma and just want to laugh, you know, just want to make other people laugh because inside they're not feeling great about themselves. You know, even when Robin Williams throughout his life, he outwardly expressed that, you know, about his depression, but he'd also loved, I mean, dude was so funny, you know, and he would make many, many people laugh. And then towards the end, when he found out his diagnosis, you know, things happened, but he was always trying to make people laugh. And he was always trying to see the room light up when he came into the room, and he would assess it and just make jokes, random jokes, you know, and I find him as a good kind of person like watch as well. Like there's all these older movies that I'm like, oh my gosh, he was doing it back then all the way up for a very long time, you know. And when I was like, I think 4 or 5, Mork and Mindy came out in the 70s. So that was the first kind of thing that I saw him in. And then later on, Mrs. Doubtfire, and I would watch his stand-up shows, and he was just really, really funny. And then Good Will Hunting. Oh God, he was really, really good in Good Will Hunting.
Yeah.
And then super good in Patch Adams, you know. So those were really good movies that really affected me, and I can still remember till this day.
Yeah. And I mean, and that just shows like just the incredible range that Robin Williams had, you know, knowing that he could go from like he could go from being the really goofy guy and like Jack and then Mrs. Doubtfire. But that scene in that movie that makes me laugh the hardest is that scene where he has that pie and he smashes it into his face.
Yes. Hello.
Hello. But yeah, knowing that he then can go from that to and then doing something as serious as Good Will Hunting, and
Right.
But yeah, and one very underrated movie of his that sadly just does not get the recognition that I feel like that it truly deserves. And I kind of feel like in a way it kind of predicted artificial intelligence. There was a movie he did called Bicentennial Man. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but basically it's about how he plays a robot, which then as time goes on, he then becomes more and more human. But
Wow.
yeah, I mean, yeah. Me and my mom actually went and saw it when it first came out back in '99, and that shows, just how old I am. But yeah, but yeah, I mean, it definitely does have those funny moments to it, but it's definitely more of a serious movie. But yeah,
Right.
but even that one too is, man, that's a really really good movie, and I am definitely getting the impression that you haven't seen it. But yeah, but definitely do check it out when you get a chance. I know that it is on iTunes, and
Okay.
I know it is on some other platforms too. But yeah, it really makes you think very deeply, like about your mortality,
Nice.
and yeah, and but yeah, it's just such a shame that it bombed at the box office. It's just such a shame that people just don't talk about that movie. And and as I said, I really feel like that it did predict AIs, because it also raises that question. Okay, where exactly do you draw that line between a human and a robot?
Right.
I definitely am not going to claim that I have that answer, because it's a very very complex thing to
Sure.
answer. But it definitely makes you think about it, and yeah, and it makes you. But yeah, it really makes you think about love and aging, and
Well, I'm
very
definitely
very
interested in the one that you
good
and I are going
movie.
to be playing with that Will Colazzo is writing,
Yeah,
called The Killer Pizza Man, just so I can get outside of myself and play a character that I've not yet played, which is going to be really, really fun. And I'm really looking forward to doing a horror comedy and getting to be able to go, like, there's certain movies and certain things that you can just push your range and just push yourself to the outer limits and say, what can I do with this scene to make it so well that I look back and I'm like, oh, that was good, or I'm proud of this film that I did with them, because it's a collaborative effort, so
it is. Yes.
I don't like to say it's my film. It's definitely not my film. I'm just playing in it. So um, I love the parts where you can collaborate with others, and then once it's completed, you get to kind of like sit back and watch and go, "Oh wow, look what we all created." Like groupthink instead of like, "I did this, I did that." You'll hear some people, "Well, my movie," and it's like, "Oh, is it yours?" Nobody else played in it. Huh?
Yeah.
So I love to watch the collaborative efforts and look at what the range is that even when the actors haven't acted very long, or even some that have acted for a very long time, it's fun to see the progression and the growth through each movies. Like there's some people that I've acted with for the last couple of years, and it's really fun for me to see their growth and to watch how they've grown into different genres or different characters, or how well they push their own limits too. For me, when I hear cut, that's it. There are some people that like to keep their character in all the time until they're done with the movie. For me, because I've done improv, I kind of like, once the scene is done, it's like, oh, okay, let me go back to laughing. If I'm playing something super serious, I'll tend to like go into my own head probably just to make myself laugh for a minute, and then go back to being serious. I like to have the range of being able to still do that. So it's going to be interesting. I think Killer Pizza Man will definitely help me grow, and
Oh,
definitely
definitely.
I'll get to see what I can do with this film. So I'm really looking forward to it. Will Colazzo is the one that's writing it and putting it
Yeah.
together. If anybody wants to join us, go on Indiegogo, look for The Killer Pizza Man. There's a bunch of different perks. There are people being announced as far as celebrities that are coming on that are going to be really, really awesome to work with. And, ordinarily you wouldn't have this opportunity to work with some of these people. You wouldn't even have access to them. So I think it's kind of fun to get into these roles where you normally wouldn't have access to these people. And then you also learn, like I learned from the beginning, they're just people. Everybody is,
Oh yeah.
and what's nice is when they're doing these independent films, they're actually much nicer, like when you're approaching them, because in a different segue, they're always separated. If they're speaking or not speaking, if you're an extra or if you're main character, sometimes you can't even talk to them on set. So it's really cool to have access to these people that, you know, later on down the road, you can either make them your friends or some of them won't keep in contact. So, I mean, that's just business, you know, the life of the business in general anyways, you know, but I find it fun and I find it interesting. I'm really glad we've hit the $9,000 point yesterday. So that's awesome. And then every time we hit a different goal, there's going to be somebody that's announced. So we need one more $1,000 to hit our $10,000 goal. And then he's going to announce a different celebrity. And that is going to be really fun. So keep an eye out, go on Indiegogo and look for The Killer Pizza Man done by Will Colazzo. And if you want, you can contact me. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. And you can ask me any of the questions that you want, and I can set those meetings up with Will Colazzo as well. I'm the executive producer on this one. Super excited for it to come into fruition and super excited to work with my friend Will Colazzo again. He's done really well with his other films. So it will be really interesting to see this one come out and all the different parts of it, and his wife, Julie. So Julianne Prescott is also, I had actually acted with, done one of Will's films called Cheer Bloody Murder. And that's actually, we're waiting for it to come back out on Lionsgate. So it's in distribution and we're just waiting for it to come out. And that's going to be really, really exciting to see that one, because that was, gosh, way before COVID even started. So it'll be nice to see like when it does come out. But when you get to distribution, they get to choose when it comes out. You know, it's not like out of your hands. And that's what people don't realize. Like they'll see a movie where the person's a child, and then all of a sudden it comes out and they're like, whoa, that person doesn't look like a child anymore.
Right.
Teenagers now. Why? Because they don't realize how long it genuinely takes to put the movie together, do the sound, do all the things that it takes, you know, to raise the funds to get it done, to make sure that the color is okay, make sure every scene is okay, the paperwork is okay. There's a lot to it, you know, and
there is
special effects, the funding. So there's a lot to it.
Yeah, and you know, and having to edit the movie, and I mean, considering that I have the editing experience myself, and yeah, I mean, that's very time consuming. I mean, what may only take a few minutes on screen could have taken a whole entire day.
Right, even a week.
Yep, true, yeah. That's also true, and yeah, and also and having to put the music in it, and yeah, I mean, it's a lot of work, and you know, now that I say this out, you know, now that I think about it out loud, it is kind of funny to imagine that, you know, that an experience for somebody to grow as a person comes from a piece of pizza that is going on a rampage.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I mean, we've already got some really, really great people that are attached to this film, and I'm very excited to see who else joins us and who else we get to work with. That's the fun part too, is sometimes you're just working with people that you've never worked with before. And then of course there's people that you worked with for, you know, a couple of times or even a lot of times, depending on what films you're doing. But it's just really cool to get that access to be able to, you know, watch them act, you know, especially some of these celebrities, just to be able to sit back and watch their scene and go, wow, you know, they have obviously been in it for a very long time, and I could learn a thing or two. You know, I think we're always in that learning process, no matter how far you've done it or how long you've done it. You know, there's always something that we can learn from. But I really love to watch some of these actors transform themselves. Like we'll have a conversation before or after, you know, the cut, and then I'm like, whoa, totally different, you know. So, or they'll just stay the same, you know, and I have to remind myself, oh, they're in character. Don't bust out. You know, don't get them out of character, you know, go ahead and leave it in character. So I had to remind myself a lot of that, because it just depends on how they were taught or what they prefer, even if they were taught something different. So it's going to be very fun. We're going to be filming in Texas at the end of July. So again,
Awesome.
if
Yeah.
you're interested, check out Indiegogo, Will Colazzo's film, The Killer Pizza Man. My name is Mindy Dougherty. If you're interested in contacting me, I can help you contact with Will, and then we can exponentially grow this. So I say jump on board with us.
Oh yeah, definitely. And even from what we'll announce on social media, I mean, granted, we will have to see how the Killer Pizza Man pans out, but he also even wants to make it into not just one film, but a whole trilogy. So,
Right. So far, I think he wants to write 3. So it's going to be very interesting how it plays out for number 1, then what it does for number 2, and then finally what it does for like 3 or how many ever he ends up shooting. It's going to be, I think sometimes it depends on the fans, what the fans want or what the fans are like waiting to see. Sometimes they can put in their ideas like, oh, hey, I'd love to see this. Or certain actors might say, hey, can we push this scene into like something like this? And it's been great to work with Will because he lets us express like what we want to do throughout some of this film. And there's not many people who actually let you go into character into a different segment too, or kind of stretch your boundaries. Cause some people are like, no, you have to stick to the script. You have to say exactly this. And that's fine. Every writer has their own kind of way that they want to do things, every director, every producer too. But with this being his film, it's been a really, really cool breakdown. And I'm excited to see what he's got for me. And I'm excited to see I know what the role title is. So it'll be really interesting who's in the scene with me and how far we get to push it, and if I have friends that are going to be working in my scene, that's going to be fun because there's almost like this familiarity with them, and you can kind of push the limits when you have your own friend on scene. You're like, oh wait, or versus somebody you don't know, where you're like, oh, prim and proper kind of. You gotta, we've got to do it this way, or take them aside, your friend, and be like, hey, you want to do this, and you discuss it, and they're like, oh yeah, we want to push this scene, or do it this way, with their permission, of course. So I am very excited for July to come and get this done.
oh yeah, same as well. And yeah, and I mean, definitely, but yeah, I mean, definitely talk about like quite the fun experience to have over the summertime. Shooting a movie about a killer piece of pizza that goes on a rampage. And what was so funny was that yesterday, one of the people at my day job asked me, so Eric, so anything new with you? I said, yeah. I actually got cast in a new movie, and they said, oh yeah, what is it? And I said its name, The Killer Pizza Man, and they were like, wait, what?
Would you like a slice of pizza?
But yeah, I guess at that point it became a pizza history.
Right. Yeah, I can't wait to do that one. And then it'll be nice to see the films that I've done in the past, like year, 2 years, 3 years, even 7 years, come out, and like I said, it's a process, and some come out right away and some don't come out for a while. So it just depends on so many different factors that goes into filming. And there's a lot of money that has to go into these things, and each person in their little segments getting paid, sound and production and staff and, the color trades and editing and special effects. So, I mean, each section, you got to raise money for it, and people don't realize that literally one scene can take all day. They're only seeing it for like 2 minutes, and they're like, that couldn't have been that hard. Not realizing it took a long time. Like, my favorite TV show is The Vikings. And whenever I watch that, I watch and I'm like, oh my gosh, for that one scene to happen, it took a week. A friend of mine said, because he's an extra. And I was like, I can't imagine doing the same thing over and over and over again, but you have to get it right, and Michael Hurst's vision was amazing. He's done Vikings Valhalla, Game of Thrones, How to Train Your Dragon, and then a friend of mine is going to be in Blood Axe that's going to be coming out on Amazon Prime. And I'm a big Viking fan. That's who I dedicated my books to. Resilient Warrior is all dedicated to Michael Hurst and the people that were in cast and crew for Vikings. Some of the extras brought my book to Vikings and Vikings Valhalla. So it's just been an amazing process to actually learn and to meet some of these people that are kind of like wowed me on television. And I often get asked, like, who is it that you would most want to meet if you ever had like a dream person that you could meet? I still want to meet Catherine Winnick and Travis Fimmel and Julia Roberts. You know, those are the three main people in my whole lifetime. And then Michael Hurst, because he created the Vikings, like, you know, shake his hand, give him my book. Thank you so much, you know. But as far as actors and actresses go, my biggest dream would be Catherine Winnick, Travis Fimmel, and Julia Roberts. And then I could croak, you know, then I could be happy, croak all I wanted. But, you know, it would be really, really cool just to meet them, because I'm a huge fan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And to all that I say, you can achieve anything no matter what anyone else says, as long as you set your mind to it. The sky is the limit.
Very true.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And so, yeah. And so I definitely really do look forward to working with you and Will and everyone else associated with the Killer Pizza Man on set when that time comes. And I mean, as of recording this, it's now early April, but yeah, I mean, July definitely will be here before we know it. And then knowing just 2 months prior, I also am going to be going to Texas to go be in Will's other movie, Clown in the Cabin. So yeah.
That's going to be fun. What's that one about?
All that I know is that it's about a group of people who go to a cabin, and then they get an unexpected visitor.
Nice.
Where where he is portrayed by Santiago. I'm spacing on his last name,
Cirillo.
Yeah, him.
So he's in that film too. That's gonna be fun.
Yep. Yeah, and so he was in The Walking Dead. He was in some other. I know he was in other stuff too. I'm just spacing out at the worst possible time. Sorry, but yeah, and so I know that might be an oversimplification.
No, it's gonna be fun. Like you said, you know, it'll be fun to see what it comes out to be and how different actors are portrayed, or what scenes you get to play in and who you get to play with. Like I said, I'm genuinely looking forward to the Killer Pizza Man, because I have a couple friends that have jumped on board. So I'm excited to see what they get to play. I'm super excited to get to work with different people. And I'm also excited to like reunite with Will, because it's been, oh gosh, I want to say 2020 or 2019 since we've done anything together again with his wife Julie. So it's going to be really fun to see her. And I was like, let's have a mini reunion. The different people that are in it, and some of the similar people as well. So I think it's going to be fun. And I always like to meet new people and create new friendships and see what else I can play next. So we'll see if I die in this film, if I live in this film. You never know, so I don't even know yet, because he hasn't really told us yet. So it'll be really fun to like, surprise, you're dead. Surprise, you live. Surprise, you're killing somebody. Or surprise, they're killing you.
Yeah, exactly. I guess it's just a waiting game. And crazy about how you mentioned 2019 being that long ago, because I swear, it feels like it was just yesterday when it was 2019. And at that time, little did we know that would be the last normal year.
For sure. Who knew that once 2020, March 6th hit, it would just go into a way that it did. I don't like talking about politics, but it definitely turned the world upside down. But you know what? I also want to say that it was great for me, because it allowed me access to different people, and I never would have been able to do online classes before, like we did, like the acting classes that I got to get into with certain teachers that had worked for Warner Brothers. We did stuff online, and normally that was never even heard of before. They would only put you in the classes, and you had to be in LA, and you had to, audition in this certain format. There was never like you can audition this way, or you can give us a videotape for your audition. I was like, really? I can self-tape is what they call it? Oh, okay. So then we would self-tape and then go through the self-tape, and then he would adjust certain things, or we would be in the class and your classmates would give you feedback, and you never know. Like sometimes I was like, oh boy, here we go. Like, is it good or bad? So it was fun though to see like 9 other people get their points of views and then watch them as well. So I mean, I learned a lot about like spacing and timing and where to look and all these other things that I wouldn't have learned had COVID not hit. I was on the public speaking route and the nurse route. So I never thought that I was going to veer from it, to be honest with you. I was like, I'll act in this one thing and then I'll be done. And then I found out, this was actually pretty fun. So maybe I won't be done, so it just always depended on like the next thing that was coming up. So like I said, I'm very excited to work with you and Will, my friend Nicole, and a whole bunch of other people. And thanks for this podcast and reaching out.
Of course.
This is great.
Yeah, of course, anytime. And I definitely would love to have you back on again.
Sure. This was great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. And so with all that said, are there any final words that you want to give to my audience?
Go get Resilient Warrior or A Dragon's Voice on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or Walmart. You can get the e-reader if you're like traveling a lot, going on planes and stuff like that. There is an e-reader available, or get the hard copies. Most people do Amazon, so Amazon.com. It's available in 17 different countries. I've had a couple of people like from Australia, Canada, and the UK ask me how they get it. It's basically on your Amazon, or if you have a way of getting like different books like Kindle, you can get it through that with e-readers. So, and then I also just say, if you want to join me or, join some of the other people on cast, go to Indiegogo, look up Will Colazzo, and look up The Killer Pizza Man. We are filming in July in Rosenberg, Texas, and it is going to be fun.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be a cheesy good time.
Cheesy great time. All about the cheese.
Well, anyways, thank you for joining, and to all my audience, stay scared, stay Cineified. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much for tuning in. Stay scared and stay Cineified.